So to start, I always like to read the cards from left to right, starting with the 5-card story. So for you guys, I've got the 8 of Wands, the 9 of Cups, the Hermit, the 10 of Wands, and the 7 of Pentacles. First thing I focus on, that Hermit. I don't always focus on the central card, but I feel like you're thinking, doing a lot of thinking. Maybe you need a break. As a Gemini myself, I understand needing a break after these past few weeks and months. So it can just be a time that you want to get away from everything. It's possible that you are feeling overburdened. Now, the unfortunate thing is that of all the readings that I've done so far, this is the one that feels the less enthusiastic overall. I was very content about the majority of the readings, feeling much lighter, much happier than the last few months. I would say that this one is more temperate. It's not as I'm ready to party and celebrate, but I do like that there is a calmness about it. It doesn't feel very heavy either. So it might just be balanced or moderate, or there might be an energy of December of taking it easy, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because sometimes that's what needs to be done, even during times like the holidays. The first thing that comes up is possible that the focus is on a message that's being received. It can be a message of love, it can be a message of romance, and I say that in particular because it's next to the 9 of Cups, which is emotional fulfillment of sorts. It's a wish card. It can be something that you've been wishing for that comes in. But what's interesting is that I get that even though it's a wish, you could be waiting to hear particular news that'll give you happiness. And again, happiness doesn't always have to, or cups doesn't always have to correlate with love. It can be the fact that you're waiting for a job situation or a verdict on some sort of decision, just waiting to hear from a friend or things like that. But I do get the sense that whatever it is that you're now hearing, even though you wanted to hear about it, you feel like you need to really take the time and think about it. I feel like you need to take the time and think about whether or not it's worth the trouble. That's what I'm getting, especially with the Hermit and the 10 of Wands. It can be a situation that's been a burden before, like if it was a repeat situation and that you're familiar with what this can potentially lead to. You're thinking about whether or not this is a burden you want to take on. And the 7 of Pentacles here, and I think another sign got this, it can very much relate to a pregnancy. Is it worth going through with it? It's a possibility. I do not judge. I don't like to judge anyone, so I'm just saying whatever it is that's on my mind. You can be thinking if it's worth the hard work to go through that, to go through those steps. You can just be thinking on a general level, is it worth carrying on this burden, carrying on this weight, taking on this new job, task, assignment, I don't know, because you're not sure if by the end of it you'll get much out of it. Because I feel like with 7 Pentacles here is thinking whether or not the fruit is worth taking. Is it worth eating? Am I going to get something out of it? Is it going to be the same as before? So this can be overall about a cycle that's coming back around. I don't even see the world here, but that's what I'm getting. But I do, as I said earlier, get the sense that you might be hearing something that you wanted to hear, but past situation or experience can just require you to take a moment to step away and figure out the work involved to whether it's worth happening or even to make it happen. And I do get the sense that December can hold just a lot of, maybe you feel like, as an aside, you're carrying a lot of work anyway. Maybe work's really busy. Or you got a new job that requires you to take a lot of tasks on, and I keep getting, is it worthwhile? Is it worth the effort? But the good thing, and I want to focus on the positive because the last months have been dark, and I feel like it's necessary, especially in December. Um, I don't feel any like Ten of Swords, Three of Swords, heartache energy. Just very much contemplation, quiet, um, observant, observing the situation. That's, I think that's the overall. So there might not be a lot of action this month for the majority. Maybe some of you guys are getting a lot of invites as well to parties, to spend time with friends and family, and you're like, you know, X amount of times where you just kind of want to be alone. I feel like you want this. You want to be alone, at least for a little while. And I get that way myself, so I can see that for me. Maybe assuming is the case for others of you as well, because just on a general, that's what I'm getting. There can also be something that you're working on that you are happy that you're seeing some of the results of your hard work. There could have been hard work involved in just a situation in general. Like maybe you've had to wait a really long time for something. And then you're like, finally, by the end of December, finally, that freaking apple, that damn fruit is growing on this tree. I've only been waiting for forever. There's that I get as well. Been waiting forever, and then finally there's actual fruit to pick from the tree. There might be a choice as to whether or not you want to pick it or not. But I do get that, I want to say a deep breath, a little bit of a relief, at the same time, uncertainty. Even though in this particular deck she is reaching for that fruit, she is thinking about it. Like she's touching it, she's thinking about whether or not to really grab it. But it's there. So again, it can be something that waiting a very long time to hear from someone for something to manifest, it does, and then you just, do I take it? You can't see me right now because of the way I do these videos, and I have my hand in the air trying to like, do I take this fruit? I don't know. Might taste bad. I guess we'll see how that goes, how that will pan out in the new year. Okay, so now I will move on to the cards for the week by week, and these cards generally represent the overall theme for the individual weeks, and I do a pair. So for the first week, we have the Hermit and the Ace of Chalices, and I'll note again, repeat cards. I love it when that happens. I see that again with the Seven of Pentacles for the following week. So there is a genuine relationship and importance, I think, with these two cards. I think introspection and quiet time is going to be very important in December, and not as a negative, because sometimes that's just necessary. It just is. And I love quiet time. I don't know about you, but I love quiet time. Okay, Hermit, Ace of Chalices for the first week. Second week, we have the Prince of Wands and the Seven of Pentacles. The third week, we have the Seven of Chalices and the King of Pentacles. And the fourth week, we have the Five of Chalices and the Lovers. Okay, so the only thing that makes me sad is seeing the Five of Chalices, but I'm going to get over it because I just have a not so nice relationship with that card, so I don't like to see it. But, you know, it's there, so whatever. Alright, first week, I feel like, again, introspective energy, you're thinking, you're going within, and whatever it is that you're going within about can involve something that causes or releases a lot of emotions. Doesn't have to be a bad thing. It can just be what you think about is very emotional to you. It can be romance. Maybe you're thinking about a new romance. Maybe you have a new opportunity and you're just dwelling on it. Dwelling on, if that's the right word, but I feel like you need to think about it a lot. Because as an overall, I do get a little bit of caution. Like you want to make the right decision. It can also be a burst of emotions that happen as a result of going within. It can be clarity involving what it is that you want in regards to something that brings you, or in regards to how something makes you feel. After taking the time to think about it, you realize that clarity regarding what it is that you feel. Because the same way that the Ace of Swords can be a clarity of thought and realization, the Ace of Cups can be clarity regarding my own emotions. What do I feel? It's next to the Hermit. He's thinking about it. So maybe either you're thinking about it a lot this week, or you've come to realize what your feelings are. And by the second week, interesting. Okay, I get the focus of the second week. It can be another person. It can be a younger person. It doesn't have to be actual younger, as in younger than you in age, someone that embodies a youthful energy, because I know someone who's, I think, close to 40s, and based on the way they speak and their mannerisms, you would think that they were a teenager. So that's the type of energy I get with this card. Except, I gotta say, in this deck, he's in control of his energy, so he can be very charismatic, but can turn it on and off. That can be his nature. He can be an on and off person, so hot and cold as well. I mean, I feel, again, a lot of fire, but this guy is meditating on top of a stick in, I forgot what that yoga pose is called, tree pose. And I feel like it's someone who can come in and out of this fiery, charismatic, adventurous state at will. Even though it's more of a youthful energy and not as mature as the king would be. So this can be someone that you're thinking about. Because in the Seven of Pence here, I feel like it's more pensive. It's more considering, again, the work involved, whether it's worthwhile or not. Can be someone at work. The focus can also be on messages that you received. A message that you received from someone, and then you're thinking about how to write back. Like one of those planning your email, planning your message sort of deals. So I get the vibe that you yourself are not being reckless. You're just really planning and thinking about how you're going to approach everything. How are you going to approach your emotions? How are you going to approach your actions? In the third week, I get the sense of, the Seven of Chalices is one of the few cards that doesn't change much for me yet. It's always a possibility. I feel like there can be confusion that involves this guy, this male figure. It doesn't have to be a guy, but a male figure, someone that embodies the King of Pentacles. You can be confused over someone this week. That can be your focus. Maybe this person maybe he's the person that wrote you a letter or wrote you an email. The week prior, you were thinking about it and you're confused about this character overall. It can be speaking to just you yourself being in an indecisive state. Maybe focused on daydreaming and fantasies, or just a general energy of not knowing what to do. It can be not knowing what to do in work, with your money as well. Maybe you're even thinking of how to save, not that. This can be, again, a theme of this week's focus on someone who is confusing. Maybe this isn't the stable, grounded King of Pentacles. Maybe this guy is more... Ooh, excuse me. Sorry. I think I'm catching a cold. I apologize. Anyway, this can be... This person is very confusing to you, and he's kind of taken over the week, or whether it's a female or not. I'm just going to say he because I'm seeing a male figure. He's being in such a way that's caused you confusion, or he's just a confusing character that has become your focus for the week for whatever reason. Maybe he's giving mixed signals. Maybe this guy is. He's one of those who is like, oh yeah, I want to see you, but I'm not sure I'm going to do this. And you're like, what the fuck? It could be someone like that. Because the Seven of Chalices has a lot of choices, doesn't know which choice to make, and it's next to this person, so if that's not you, that's someone else. That's the focus. And then the last week, the week that I'm trying to avoid. Alright, we do have some sadness. It can be reflecting. I mean, in this particular version of the Five of Cups, of Chalices, she's looking at her reflection. She's looking at what has passed. I don't even feel like she's really looking at the cups that are across the water, but I feel like she's looking at herself, which is interesting. There's a little bit of a what have I done or what should I do vibe that I'm getting from this Five of Chalices, which is a bit unusual, or although refreshing for me. It's still not a good energy to like to see, but it can be some form of sadness that involves a couple, involves a relationship, whether it's a past relationship. I also get maybe no regrets, like because there's so much contemplation, figuring stuff out, waiting, and the vibe of if something is worth it. You can be thinking about whether or not you might regret something, and whether or not you might regret something because of an experience in previously. I do feel like it's centered on a romantic relationship or emotional connection. It can be friendship. In this particular deck, it definitely feels like romantic connection, but I'm going to say it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be male and female. It can be whatever gender. Regardless, there is some missing vibe, sadness vibe, involving a connection, whether you're actually feeling sad or you're wondering if, I keep wanting to say you're wondering if it's worth it. And maybe for some, very few, though I feel like this will mostly be your energy. It can be someone that's missing you, but I do think it's more of a missing vibe coming from your end regarding a relationship, or, as I said before, not wanting to regret a situation. And then as advice, I feel like the Knight of Cups is telling the majority of you to lead with your emotions. If it's been the case that, we're air signs, we try to probably rationalize or think logically more than anything else, depending on the rest of your chart, I'm sure. This Knight of Cups can be saying to try to lead with your heart, at least for this month. Like I'm even looking at it and I'm like, no. So I'm giving you this advice, but I'm saying I'm not sure if I would follow that. I feel like that's what it's leaning towards. Don't necessarily fear leading with your emotions in some cases. There can even be, even though this is an advice card, it can be referring to an offer that's coming in and just advising you to open your eyes to it if it is there, and maybe even consider welcoming it.